Get video from youtube.0:0:0/0:1. I believe there's some explanation for this universe. All around the world, there is a common trend involving young children growing up in church, only to fall away not long after high school. This has been true for most people, including the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. Like many people today, he grew up in church, but turned away from the faith as he got older. However, a recent event at a local church changed everything, leading to a shocking public declaration as a Christian that now believes in God. What happened to him? And what events led to this life-changing moment? Join us as we unravel the witnessed miracle. That changed his life forever. Rough beginnings. Elon's history with religion is complicated, fraught with many moments of enlightenment and difficulty. Get video from YouTube. 100105. An increase in the secular nature of society. For most people, they need something to fill that void. Born to a relatively wealthy family in South Africa, the future billionaire's childhood was marked by a mix of privilege and challenges. His father, Elon Musk, had found success as a mechanical engineer, pilot, and sailor. His mother, May Musk, was a renowned model and dietitian. Soon after his birth, the future billionaire was baptized and raised as an Anglican, but was by no means a devout Christian. The most consistent thing he did at church was attending weekly Sunday school sessions with the other kids in the neighborhood. Church was more of a routine, a huge drag to get over with each week. But like every kid at church, he naturally grew accustomed to basic doctrine and tradition, quickly becoming familiar with the popular stories of the greatest heroes and legends of Scripture. He had a fair grasp of Christian teachings and values, and sometimes enjoyed being with his peers at Sunday school. But here is where things get complicated. It just so happened that a lot of his father's engineering firm partners were Jewish, and it turned out that Elon was attending a Jewish preschool, while also attending the Anglican church in his neighborhood. This diversity exposed the young Elon to different religious perspectives, causing him to look at religious beliefs and practices as subjective realities that had no long-term consequences. It sent a clear message to the negotiating teams and to the politicians that this time there needs to be significant. Life was quite normal for the young boy, but not without its challenges. It was quite obvious from that point that Elon was different from other kids. He had a usual obsession with reading, obsessing over minute details and fact-checking everyone when they tried to strike up a friendly conversation with him. But even still, his family was always there to support him, or most specifically, his mother, May. She was always there for Elon. Showing him all the love his father, however, was a whole different story. It seemed the old man was too busy to spend time with his son for anything, barely showing up at important events that mattered to Elon. His mother made up for it in the little ways she could, but the growing need for a steady father figure was becoming apparent as the years went by. With annoying siblings of his own, the family dynamic was rough, but not terrible. This was most true from Elon's perspective, but not for everyone. Contrary to what he thought, his parents were barely holding up, as the growing problems between his parents were reaching breaking point. It wasn't long after Elon's 8th birthday when his parents got divorced. This was a difficult event, one so profound that it changed the entire trajectory of his life. Following legal proceedings, Elon was set to live with his mother, May, and siblings at their home on the east coast of South Africa. But as the years went by, Elon began to miss his father. As he would later recall as an adult, he felt pity for his father, who was now living on his own with nobody keeping him company. This was almost puzzling to his mother, May, and his siblings. Get video from youtube.4:25/4:30. But we'd be made, long-term, probably be making $1,000 a year of the ship. As it was well established at this point that Elon didn't have the best relationship with his father. Still, Elon insisted on staying with Errol, believing they would have a great relationship now that other family members were not in the way. So a few years following their divorce, Elon's mother released him to be with his father. He thought he would finally be close enough to his hero, spend time with him, get acknowledged for his academic exploits, and be directly congratulated in all important events coming up in his life. But contrary to what he had hoped, things weren't that simple. And sadly, Elon would have to learn this the hard way. It took many years of wasted efforts to realize living with his father was the wrong choice. Things got so bad that he would grow to describe Errol as a terrible human being, verbally abusing him over the smallest mistakes. Elon's description of his father would be revealed as accurate. as Errol was proven to be a dangerous person beyond being a terrible father with multiple instances of emotional tantrums, physical assaults, and criminal behaviors legally cleared in the name of self-defense. It turned out his father's character was far more complex than he had anticipated, effectively leaving him alone to navigate many issues growing up on his own. He grew into the typical nerd in his teenage years, keeping to himself and immersing himself in books. He would keep to himself so much that he would read through entire encyclopedias. Get video from youtube.6:06/6:12. I don't know if you will notice it in the video, but there's no real limit to how many levels of tunnel you can. What made things more interesting was that he had a photographic memory, able to recall most of what he had read. His obsession with minute facts branded him as a know-it-all who nobody wanted to be friends with, a trait that would be the foundation for his future exploits and innovations. During this time, the concept of religion made almost no sense to him, as everything he was experiencing at that moment seemed to prove there was no God. The thought of a powerful being who had the power to step in and make life much easier but still did nothing felt repulsive to him. It also didn't help that he was frequently being bullied by others. Being the quiet, scrawny kid with a reserved personality, it was no surprise he often clashed with the ever-outgoing and charismatic cultures of South Africa. Elon, at this point, was tired of all the hate and abuse. So, to bring it all to an end, Elon would go the difficult route. He would strive for success harder than anybody else he knew. He will show the world he is good enough, he will make a name for himself, and everyone will be forced to acknowledge him. With no God, no father, and no friends, Elon was determined to prove himself to the world. And as we shall see, he became very good at it when all goes well. Determined to make a name for himself, Elon set out to do wonderful things with all he had learned. Among his earliest exploits was the establishment of Zip2, a confounded project put up to be a city guide for newspapers. 3 years later, it became very successful. Get video from youtube.7:56/8:00, because it is something that could go wrong. As we've talked about many times. Good enough to be sold to Compaq for over $300 million in 1999. Later that year, he created an online payment company known simply as X, a name many users are familiar with today, for different reasons. 3 years later, it would be known as PayPal and sold to eBay for $1.5 billion in stock. Jumping on another moving train guaranteed to find success, Elon Musk founded SpaceX later in 2002, an initiative with the wild goal of colonizing planet Mars in the coming decades. 2 years after, Elon joined Tesla Motors Inc., a company known for making specialized cars aimed at a niche audience, as an honorary chairman. His innovative ideas brought the company great success, and it was only a matter of time before he became CEO. By 2006, SpaceX had built the Falcon 1, the first privately developed rocket to reach orbit. This was a huge feat on its own, and subsequent achievements would lead to the building of Falcon 9, a rocket that would be used by NASA for other projects and subsequent satellite launches. By 2010, the company had built another technological marvel called the Dragon, which became the first private spacecraft to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. His exploits at Tesla were just getting started, with the famous Model S car being praised worldwide for the exceptional things it could do. The model was so successful that Elon had to build special large factories in China and other places to produce the vehicle and its accessories at a much larger scale. Get video from youtube.9:47/9:52. Not just the most efficient production, but also the highest quality. From 2006, the young billionaire had also been making great strides in the renewable energy sphere, joining other visionaries in founding SolarCity. This was a company aimed at manufacturing products that relied on solar energy with a more efficient power system. By 2015, Elon would make more money for himself by acquiring the company under the Tesla brand for producing sustainable accessories for Tesla products. Later that year, he founded OpenAI with like-minded leaders who wanted artificial intelligence to be accessible to everyone. By the following year, he also founded Neuralink, an initiative aimed at helping people struggling with mental disorders, with modern tools and the newest technologies. By 2020, Tesla's market value far surpassed the $100 billion mark, making it the most successful car manufacturing company in history. Following the surge, things got much better in 2021, when Forbes declared Elon Musk as the richest man in the world, with a net worth surpassing $200 million by September. At this point, Elon had done everything he set out to do as a young man. Get video from youtube.11:07/11:12. Probably be made, long term. Probably be making $1,000 a year of the ship. He had built many successful companies and initiatives and had billions of dollars in the bank. A name that was known to most people in the world with all the respect and fame he desired. When everything goes wrong, amid all his success, Elon came across many Christians who were living quiet and fulfilling lives. Get video from youtube.11:32/11:38. Even if you had a thirst for knowledge, you really couldn't do anything about it, because there were very few books to read. What made it fascinating was that they kept true to all they believed, despite struggling financially. He was by no means religious, but had profound respect for these individuals who remained devoted despite how much the world tried to break them. Religion at this point for Elon was like a necessary evil that helped people get through difficult times. Not something for him. After all, he was the richest man in the world. But while that was true, the following month would be the start of many troubles. This was marked by a sharp decline in Tesla's stock by the end of November. At that time, Elon was becoming quite arrogant, giving controversial statements on Twitter that would go on to tarnish his brand. Get video from youtube.12:24/12:28. One is of sustainable energy generation, which is primarily wind and solar. When the owners of Twitter felt like he was going too far with his actions on their platform, he responded by publicly announcing his intentions to buy the company. Many thought it was impossible until April of 2022. When Elon successfully bought the platform for $44 billion, Elon believed his leadership would make the platform more open for free speech and representation. But all it did was bring down the platform stock by a huge margin. Less and less people were interested in the platform, as the many changes he made to the platform felt inconvenient for many users. Get video from youtube.13:08/13:14. And scorn. So it's like. By the start of December, Elon had lost up to $100 billion in personal wealth as the Tesla brand declined. It also didn't help that Twitter, now known as X, was not profitable, making the $44 billion acquisition a potential loss in the long run. By late December, Elon's financial losses broke records by reaching $160 billion. It was the largest loss of fortune in history, and things would only get worse from there. Tesla's stock value continued to plummet into early 2023. And by the end of the year, the company had experienced a 65% drop in stock price. Public scrutiny was at an all-time high. His personal life was a mess and everything was in the spotlight. This was no doubt a rough period for Elon, but it drew him into considering a lot of things he ignored in the past, including religion. This growing openness to faith would lead to a famous interview with the conservative Christian comedy channel, The Babylon Bee. On the podcast, Elon expressed profound respect for the teachings and the life of Jesus. Elon also acknowledged he learned the hard way that it's better to turn the other cheek as Christ taught, instead of getting involved in controversy for the sake of it. He also expressed that he'd want to be a Christian. Get video from youtube.14:404/14:47. Probably be making $1,000 a year of the ship. $1,000 a year? Yeah, well, gotta build a city on moss. Yeah. Truly existed and save people like the Bible says he does. Little did he know that this public expression would forever change the trajectory of his life. Here is how. Elon's turning point with God. By early January 2024, Elon had gone to Las Vegas for a tech conference. He had arrived a few days before the main event to rest alone at a hotel. He needed some time to himself, but not having much to do during the weekend, he put on some casual clothes with a basic disguise and set out for a local church not too far from the hotel. For Elon, it was one of those moments when a famous person wanted to experience a glimpse of a normal life. Get video from youtube.15:32/15:38. Yeah, so I was driving up Sand Hill Road with Peter Thiel, my co-founder. And at what better place could the average person experience the thrill of an average life on a Sunday morning than at a local church in the neighborhood? At that point, the famous billionaire was burdened with a lot of problems and just needed some time to himself. Perhaps a part of him was hoping he would find that in church, Or maybe he just wanted to experience life without all the pressure and scrutiny. He sat at one of the pews in the back, and it wasn't long after when the congregation got up to sing a hymn. After the song was over, a young man was invited to the stage to share his experience of how God changed his life. This young man shared a wholesome story that reflected most of the struggles Elon was dealing with. According to his testimony, the young man had lost so many things that he felt life as he knew it was over. But after deciding to live for Christ, everything in his life changed. Get video from youtube.16:34/16:40. In 14 months, the story was met with loud applause and cheers from the audience, with many waving their hands and thanking God for his story. And somehow, Elon, at that moment, felt like God was speaking to him through that man. It was like a cathartic moment, when the billionaire realized God always knew about his struggles and failures. The God he had grown to hate had always been there for him, helping the young man in mysterious ways he was just starting to comprehend. Tears streamed from his eyes as the congregation stood to say grace. And after that, Elon discreetly returned to his hotel with a newfound joy he couldn't express. Despite having a lot of problems, he felt a calm sense that everything would be all right. It was a peace that surpassed all understanding, including his. Get video from youtube.16:35/16:39. It would be a good idea to merge with Tesla. We certainly have that conversation. But we don't want to. And he enjoyed it. By July 2024. Elon Musk had an interesting conversation with popular lifestyle commentator Jordan Peterson. Both influencers shared their thoughts on the Christian religion, each stating how the teachings and dogma have shaped their lives in the long run. It was during that episode when Elon publicly identified as a cultural Christian, implying that though he cannot defend the spiritual claims of the religion, he chooses to live it out in as an extension of his daily life. He now encourages everyone to do the same. Seek, he says, and perhaps you will find the truth as well. So what do you think? Is Elon Musk a genuine Christian now? Or is this just another passing phase of his life? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Also, click the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.